The third season of Wizards of Waverly Place is no joke. It's hilarious, but no joke. Funny, but stop joking. Season 3 is crazy because it's the cutoff of right when I stopped watching Wizards originally. Like, I remember Harper finding out.
My best friend's a wizard!
I remember getting to Wizards versus Vampires, that, like, super big special at the end of Season 2.
What are you talking about?
We've come to reclaim our daughter!
But I must have stopped watching after the movie because Season 3 is so foreign to me. I like to call it the Justin Has Bangs season because it's the most memorable part of it that I remember not seeing. And there's a lot that goes into Season 3 in a way that, like, I haven't noticed in the show before, where it gets a lot more serialized. It's also a lot better in a way that I never expected. This is probably one of the best seasons of Disney TV I've ever seen. The cool part about it, the best part, is that we could break it up into a bunch of different sagas. Because many of the chunks of episodes kind of have a recurring theme up until, like, a certain point. In the same way anime has, like, an end of an arc, that's kind of how this season goes. I wanted to start with the first arc, which I consider the monster arc. Not sure if you guys remember, but Wizards of Waverly Place Season 3 originally kicked off with Monsttober. It's a marathon themed around Halloween that they did on Disney Channel way back when, and I remember it because I stopped watching at that time. I remember thinking that was like such a weird, cheap gimmick, but you know what? I was wrong because every episode I must have missed is seemingly one of the better episodes. I've seen a lot of other YouTubers talk about this season, and they don't love it super much, but I feel like the more time we have away from it, the better it seems quality-wise. The first chunk of episodes we're going to look at is the Monsttober special, this whole first arc, and it takes us through episode 1, Franken Girl, episode 2, Halloween, episode 3, Monster Hunter, episode 4, 3 Monsters, notice a pattern here, and 5, Night at Lazerama. You know what my favorite part of these specials are? We have a guest star in this season that is from my favorite show ever, but we're not going to get into that this quickly. The point is, we start off with Season 3 on a very monster-themed note with the first episode, Franken Girl. So in this episode, Justin is sick of Alex constantly going back into his room.
I'm gonna Alex-proof my room.
Again?
Already the third season has like a really nicer vibe because it's HD. Everything feels a lot more 2010s, even though that's like so new for it. It's actually a really good one. The whole premise is that Justin gets all in Frankenstein mode and wants to create his own. Something to distract Alex long enough so he could have his personal time. And it's like a hint of little evil. Evil Justin comes out a lot in this season.
It's payback time.
I feel like it's fair to call him Angsty Justin, where he's just getting tired of all these things going on, like Alex getting praised and his studies not paying off. But, I mean, we get a lot of wins for him this season, so Justin, just sit tight if you're watching this. You're gonna have a good season. So Justin creates this fake monster using wizard magic, and Max has this funny, like, ongoing thing where he keeps switching sides. Like, first he's on Alex's side, he's like, I'm gonna be on Alex's side about this argument, and then he jumps to Justin.
I pick Alex. I am switching sides. Hey, Alex, I'm on your side again. Justin insulted me. Nice, dude. I'm on your side now. I am on your side now. What can I say? I love a winner.
And Max becomes such a laughingstock of this season. I feel like he's just joke after joke, but I've never liked him more. So they must have been doing something right on that account, because that is just hilarious. The references to the old Frankenstein movie, though, are kind of going over my head. One, I didn't really like the old Frankenstein movie with Gene Wilder.
That's Frankenstein.
And two, Justin's portrayal of it is kind of cringy sometimes.
She's alive. She's alive. She's alive.
But it is funny. It's like supposed to be cheesy. Like that's the charm of it all. So Justin tests out his experiment by setting Alex up to go steal something from his room. When she does, she meets the Franken monster, and it feels like something's actually going right for Justin. I feel like he doesn't get a lot of wins, but Alex is genuinely, like, scared of this new monster. And why? Because it wants to be her friend.
Best friend forever.
Which is even worse than being just like a scary monster. So it starts following her around, acting like her, and I feel like Alex likes this. It's kind of like a twist on Justin where it's like Alex actually gets into this as a concept. So Justin has to kick it up a notch.
Looks like your revenge revenged.
Justin convinces Franken Girl that she wants to be a cheerleader and that Alex is gonna join her. So Alex is really upset pretty quickly. And this becomes a recurring theme. I think we see that Alex is on the cheer squad more than once, which is kind of crazy. Disney Channel always seems to like incorporate cheer squad into something. I feel like it was on Life with Derek. It was on Hannah Montana. I mean, fill me in if I'm wrong. So yeah, Alex finds herself actually trapped by the situation, which is another point for Justin. Good for him. I feel like he deserves it. Harper apparently was a part of the cheer squad all along, and Alex just didn't notice because she didn't care, which is kind of crazy to me. I feel like that you have to notice some kind of commitment like that. Mr. Laritate's back this season, and I really like this guy. I saw him on the reboot, and I was very surprised at how consistent he becomes this and next season. It kind of reminds me of Girl Meets World, where the teacher gets involved a lot more than they used to. And it's funny, though, because he's got this whole Western vibe. He wears, like, a polo tie, and, like, it's just his whole gimmick, and I don't know why. It's just funny.
Miss Russo, you've lassoed my soul.
Alex is a lot more cunning this season, I would say. She has a lot more mature moments, but it takes a couple sagas to get there, so sit tight. The episode weirdly ends with no full-on conclusion. It's just Alex and Franken Girl are on the sports team, and it kind of goes to credits from there. So I guess that's like a loss for Alex. Like, Justin won this episode, and it's kind of funny to think about. Then we get to the actual Halloween episode, Halloween. The first time Wizards actually committed full on to be like, let's just call this episode Halloween. We're ready. So in this episode, it's about the Waverly Place family trying to create a horror, scary Halloween haunted house.
Follow me!
I'm not sure if you guys saw Sunny with a Chance, but Mr. Condor, the guy who plays the executive running that whole business, also plays a big business guy in this too. He's the one who comes in to tell the Russos that they are so unscary that they need to pretty much shut down their haunted house this year.
And frankly, your haunted house has been a disappointment since
Forever.
It's so funny, though, because Alex is, like, not on their side about it. She, like, essentially sides with Mr. Condor. I'm going to call him that, even though that's definitely not his name. So they decide that they actually need to start using magic to make this scary. Something that they've never considered before, because Teresa has always had a problem with them using magic as shortcuts, which is totally fair. I feel like you shouldn't be able to use all magic as shortcuts. And this is funny because it's, like, the one time they're expected and, like, want to use magic on purpose. It's actually a lot harder than it seems. Like, it's such a simple act, ends up being ridiculously hard. It's funny, though, because Jerry's the one who initiates it, and he's like, I want to keep this haunted house. Please don't tell your mother, but do this. Dang, Jerry. Not a good husband this season, that's for sure. Jerry and Teresa tend to spend a lot of time this season just, like, letting the kids kind of do whatever they want. They say is, like, a character flaw, but I honestly think that's how parents will act when kids past 15 start, like, wanting their independence. Like, they don't want to be as involved because they don't want to create a teenager that rebels against everything. I feel like that makes a lot of sense to me. Like, Teresa and Jerry are like, I guess we can't control them. We just have to let it go. So they get a little neglectful, I would say, but not, like, full-on neglect. They just seem to, like, let things happen. So Alex and Harper go to the ghost world to recruit some villains to actually make this haunted house really cool. And it's funny because it reminds me of the Ghost Zone from Danny Phantom, maybe just because I've been watching it a lot, but the name is just so uncanny for some reason. And they meet a bunch of new characters that are all based on Halloween this time. And apparently they survive off of Halloween candy, which I find really creative. It gives me vibes of Halloween Town. I don't know if you remember that movie. That was like an old Disney movie. It feels like Wizards is like taking over that spot of Halloween themed things.
forecast calls for rain.
And these guys are actually really scary. Like, maybe because it's Halloween, but their makeup is uncomfortably realistic. So Alex ends up bringing 3 of the scary people back, and they're not, like, as scary as you thought they were. Teresa ends up finding out that they're doing this, and we think it's going to be a problem, but really she's on board too. Like, she wants this haunted house to be scary. If anything, she's like, these guys are not scary enough.
So you went to the wizard world to get some scary ghosts, and this was the best you could do?
We get to see everybody in a Halloween costume, and it's really funny. Harper is like the bride of Frankenstein, and Max is literally just a ghost with a sheet over his head and a mustache. I don't know why. Max is just so funny this season for me.
I'm the ghost of mustaches past.
Teresa tells Alex to literally go back and get an actual scary ghost, and she confronts the guy they met earlier, who is a really scary ghost. He apparently haunted Justin for some time.
Crybaby Russo? I put that kid on my resume!
So there's actually like history there, which is just like a really funny one-off bit. And it's so funny because at first the haunted house is ran by Justin while Alex is trying to go get this guy, and it's like horribly lame. Like he makes it worse until they actually bring the guy back who shows off his ghostly powers, freaking out everybody. This one's actually a success for the main cast, which is kind of rare. They got away with it. They made the haunted house. I mean, it's Halloween. It's fair that they get this. I just like that this is like the second episode in a new season. This and Franken Girl really introduce us in a way that like gets me excited for a consistent theme. And yeah, it's just nice to have a Halloween episode that is so dedicated to it that I don't have to just consider that Scary Movies episode. Every episode feels like Halloween for this show, so it's nice that they actually like distinguish which one would be the special. Season 3, Episode 3 is called Monster Hunter, and this one starts out pretty fun. So Mr. Stuffleby is this private wizard counselor, kind of like a regular guidance counselor, but for wizards. Cool concept. He was in the original episode Make It Happen from Season 2, where he was like telling the kids that they have to have a backup plan if they don't pass the wizard competition. They ended up forming a band, and it became one of those episodes where the main cast forms a band. I don't know what to tell you. That's a pretty basic episode. But he's back here because apparently Justin mastered his 5,000th spell. And it's like a big celebration. Everybody's excited to see each other again. And Justin apparently doesn't have to do his studies anymore. So that's another win for Justin. Dang, this guy just keeps winning this season. Alex is immediately embarrassed because she's learned like very little spells. And it's so funny because she's like, what about me? And they're like, oh, well, we don't like to count spells, but you're literally here for a celebration. So he's chosen to do an apprenticeship, an internship-like thing. And it kind of reminds me of like in the human world where we want to try out a job. So we do like an internship. That's kind of what Justin does, and he chooses to be a monster hunter. But here's the thing, in the past, a lot of the monster hunters either didn't do a good job or died. So it's kind of a really threatening position for him to take on. Given the fact that we just saw him create Frankenstein, we just had them recruit ghosts from the ghost world. Like, it seems like the wizards are getting a lot more entangled with the other worldly things in the wizard world, like goblins, monsters. Like, it becomes very consistent. Oh, and this is his last appearance, which is actually kind of sad. I really do like this idea for a character. Meanwhile, this is like Alex's first responsible episode where she seems a little bit threatened by Justin in a way she hadn't been before.
I am trying to find a way to catch up on my wizard lessons.
Why bother? You know, if I were you, I'd figure out ways to look good in a hairnet.
You know, she's always been irresponsible, just using magic as a shortcut and for whatever she wants, but this time she's actually like, dang, I need to figure out how Justin does his spells because there's no way I could compete with him.
What you doing?
Studying.
Okay.
Right.
She breaks into his room again, which is really funny because it solidifies like why he created the Franken monster in the first place. I don't know where she went. We never got a resolution to that episode, but whatever. And Alex is trying to figure out what to do. Harper guides her, but is like, girl, this is like, you chose this. Like, you never wanted to learn spells. And she kind of helps Alex and be like, if you want to learn spells, you're gonna have to commit yourself to what Justin does.
And his MP3 player is full of spells.
Find nuts, basil, dragon toes are how you make a potion when...
And that means like studying all the time, doing all these things. So Alex is like, okay, fine, I'll do it. And tell me Justin's room isn't like the biggest room ever. Like, they're not that rich, are they? To have an apartment in New York is one thing, but to have an apartment in New York with a giant room that essentially looks like a museum, Justin, you are living a little too large. And we get the introduction of a new character just for this saga where Max actually brings his conscience to life. So, guess who the conscience is? Rico from Hannah Montana. Moises Arias plays Conscience, this part of Max's brain that tells him what's right and wrong, and he essentially doesn't have it anymore. So, like, Max goes off the walls. I already was concerned about Max, and now I'm, like, freaking out. So Max, like, starts making decisions that don't involve the conscious, and he becomes kind of a jerk. I feel like I've never seen Max take this direction. You gotta admit, Moises Arias is super funny in this. He's so good at playing, like, the moral gatekeeper, especially since he's the opposite in Hannah Montana as Rico.
I love the ladies, but Georgia Washington, you're still the best.
Justin tries to hunt down his first monster, and it ends up being in this train station, and it's just like a giant costume piece, which if I were a kid, this would make me scared to see any costume characters ever. I don't know why they would paint them in such a scary light. Like, they're cheesy or they're horrifying, but either way, it's not a win for the audience. Justin does a pretty good job right off the bat. Max is the one who ends up making monsters roam the city.
I think we all believe I could do something this stupid.
To sabotage Justin, because he got it in his head that the only way he's gonna do the wizard competition right is if he stops Justin. And it's funny because it's like kind of Alex's fault for like insinuating that.
I have a conscience and I'm letting it be my guide.
Like at the beginning of the episode, she's kind of like, hey, like the only way we're going to win is if we take down Justin. So yeah, conscience is out. So Max makes a really big mistake. All monsters are enlisted into the city. Next thing you know, Justin is bombarded by a bunch of really disturbing Chuck E. Cheese like costumed things that are attacking him one by one, and he cannot keep up. We already were concerned with him because no monster hunters usually come out alive, and you're telling me he's able to last this long? I mean, that's another win for Justin, if you had to calculate it. Alex ends up being the one to save the day with one of the spells she just learned through Justin's techniques, which is kind of interesting. It means that like she's definitely committed to being a part of the wizard competition. So it's like nice to have somebody to root for that's not the brother of the main character. I mean, Alex is just such a bad person. Sometimes it's like hard to root for her. But in this instance, it's nice to see that she's actually putting her work to the test. We have a lot of things started, like Justin starting to become a monster hunter, Max bringing out his conscience.
Max, what are you doing?
I'm wrestling with my conscience.
And Alex wanting to learn wizardry. So this is where we've had all the elements put into place to become a more serialized show. The next episode in the saga is called 3 Monsters. So Justin is still dating Juliet, who is a monster. Spoiler alert, she's a vampire, therefore she is a monster. Her and Justin are going great together, and they're like such a sweet couple. And I'm only telling you this because this is about to coincide with the plot in a really funny way. Conscience is still here with Max, and Max is still a bad person because we have Rico down his shoulder being able to be the moral support. It's so funny because Juliet starts hanging out with Alex and Harper, and obviously Justin's uncomfortable with this idea. Harper's outfit in this is just a bunch of markers hanging off her dress.
All right, let's put our heads together and think of something.
Grab a marker, ladies. Let's start writing.
Which is kind of iconic. I feel like I've seen this specific outfit referenced a lot, so it's funny that this is the origins of that episode. Max and Conscience look adorable together. I love that they're like always wearing the same outfit, and I wish Moises Arias was in this for even more than like the next couple episodes. Like, this is such a funny concept. And things get a little bit more strained with their relationship as Max just completely stops listening to him. Apparently, the longer you're away from your conscience or separate bodies, the quicker it's going to be for them to become their own person and get their own conscience. So Max is actually in a little bit of trouble that we set up last episode. I love that they add that. It's so funny, Moises acts like a babysitter, like he even talks to Teresa and is like, I'm trying to get him to work on his studies.
I'm sorry, I've been encouraging him to work on his wizard studies.
Okay, I was a babysitter. I'm not sure if I told you guys, but I was a male nanny for like 3 years. I had this awesome kid. We would just play video games and do homework, and it was a nice setup. I learned a lot from him, and he learned a lot from me, I'm assuming. But yeah, that's funny that like Rico is the one in the scenario being the conscience. We have this new wizard counselor guy. He's famous for different sitcoms. I can't think of his name right off the bat, but he alerts Justin that there is a monster he's going to have to fight. Justin reports that there's monsters on Waverly Place as a part of his apprenticeship, his internship duties, I guess. And it turns out to be Juliet and her 2 parents. Luckily, we don't get to see them. They're kind of annoying, but I like that, like, he accidentally reported them. Obviously, Alex and Harper kind of bother him about it because, of course, he reported his girlfriend. And we think that Justin's gonna like hide it from her, but I like that literally Juliet enters and right off the bat he tells her. That's another win for Justin. I like that he's a respectful guy. He could be a little bit like teasing of Alex in a normal brother way, but he's got some responsible qualities to him and likes to be honest. So like it's hard to kind of look down on that, especially with the new bangs. How do you forget that? So now we have new monster hunters coming to help Justin take down the 3 monsters. And this is horrible news. Justin is like, what are we gonna do? Like, they're gonna find my girlfriend. So immediately they show up right in the middle of this conversation, and it becomes a lot more conflict really quick. This is what I like about the show. I like that the drama gets a little bit more intense as we keep going. Juliet's able to hide behind Alex and Harper, and they get away with it for now, but they need to come up with a longer-term plan. So Alex is like, we just need to get 3 monsters to distract them, which is actually kind of a genius idea. They end up recruiting that Franken Girl, which is funny because it actually makes it tie into the saga, so my theories are kind of correct. But then she gets like a robot and then nothing else.
And the third monster is, oh look, nothing!
Alex just got the 2 monsters and just hoped it worked. Justin's freaking out this whole episode, which is fair because it's his mistake, and Juliet's just trying to hide. In the B-plot, we find out that Conscience is having such a positive influence on Max's life that even like Teresa starts loving him more than a son, which it's a part of Max, so I guess technically that's not immoral. So they end up having another win at the end of this episode, which is kind of sweet. They trick the monster hunters into actually taking those 3 monsters, which kind of betrayal, Justin. That is your daughter you just created, that Franken Girl.
Franken Girl, a monster I created. Hi, Daddy.
But whatever. Next thing you know, Alex and Justin are excited to tell Juliet themselves, because Juliet's like become this new part of the family, which I find super sweet. And yeah, the episode ends on a high note once again, which is nice because we're gonna get some low notes throughout the season. The next episode in this saga is Season 3, Episode 5, Night at the Lazerama. Justin continues to be a part of this whole monster hunter apprenticeship and is told by the wizard tribe that at the museum there's a mummy that is essentially like evil and he needs to take him down. Nobody's ever taken him down before. It's going to be Justin's biggest mission yet. So there's a lot of high stakes here. At this point, it's starting to feel like Justin's kind of the main character. It's cool that this wizard tribunal guy keeps coming in because he's in the series finale most notably. So I like that they have him in early enough to start introducing those concepts. So Juliet goes with Justin.
I knew her. What's up?
And they go to this museum trying to figure out what the hijinks are.
You hate cookie dough ice cream, but you know who loves it? The mummy.
I love how Conscience is such like a recurring character now. He has a lot to do with the plot in like a really funny way. The mummy ends up opening up the exhibits, which is kind of cool. Very Night at the Museum-y, which I think that's what they were going for. So Justin and Juliet step in and find themselves trapped in the exhibit, only to be enslaved by the mummy. And they're like freaking out because if the sun comes up while they're still in there, Juliet is essentially going to disintegrate. So they have to make a decision pretty quickly. Is Juliet going to disintegrate, or is there another way out of this? The depressing part of the episode is there is a way out of it. It's apparently if Juliet becomes enslaved to the mummy, she'll be able to live, but she'll have to, you know, be a slave to him for the rest of her life. And it's really depressing because we have to watch Justin let her go like that. And you feel really bad. He's definitely got a really heavy loss in this season, despite all those positive wins thus far. I feel like this episode isn't as funny, maybe because it doesn't come a lot more natural when they're just stuck in the exhibit the whole episode. Like, I don't know what the jokes would be. I think the Conscience bit is the funniest. This is the episode where Conscience ends up forming his own identity because of how good he's doing with Max, and then ends up with his own conscience. A new guy comes out of his backpack and is wearing the same clothes he has, which I really like as a costume. Alex is the one that's like trying to help this situation, but can't get to them in time. So yeah, Max is kind of screwed at this point. Alex is able to trick Conscience into not having his own life and turns Max into a washing machine, puts him as socks in the washing machine, and I guess that just makes it back to be a part of his spirit. I'm running out of understanding of these wizard rules. So all around, Max gets out easy, Alex is the one who learned the spell to do it, and poor Justin is alone at the museum, and his girlfriend is like essentially gone forever, despite the fact they just got her back in the last episode, so not a fun time for these guys. The episode ends with a very heartfelt moment between Justin and Alex, and it's kind of sweet.
Let's just hug and go get some cookie dough ice cream.
Cookie dough!
I don't know, to me it's a little too depressing. I feel like this is a scary concept to not resolve quickly. Like I said in the last video, this is the time I stopped watching Wizards, so a lot of this is like my first reaction to it, so you'll have to bear with me. But the point is, this is like one of the best seasons of television ever, and I'm excited to keep getting into it. The next saga is all about werewolves. Yeah, there's a lot of Twilight references in this show, which is actually in its favor. I feel like At the time Breaking Dawn came out, we had Eclipse when the original Twilight came out. And that whole thing was like vampires versus werewolves. And it was kind of a big deal because you were either Team Edward or Team Jacob, so there's a lot of cultural relevance to it. It's really funny that Wizards chose to lean into this, considering this was like at the tail end of that phenomenon, so people weren't necessarily following it as much. But if you were a Disney kid and loved to choose sides, this was something fun to do. There's this character that Alex ends up liking, and his name is Mason, and he's a werewolf. We're not going to get to it quite yet, because this is like a whole 5-episode arc that like builds up to it, but that's kind of what I want to touch on in this episode. So we start off with like a couple filler episodes that seemingly don't have to do with it, but I do feel like impact the plot later. We start with season 3, episode 6, Dollhouse. So this episode is famous for being the episode that essentially Harper moves in. I find this to be like a very like Wizards of Waverly Place season 1 episode concept, because it's like kind of funny. The whole premise is that Alex shrinks herself down into this dollhouse that used to be very sentimental to her and Harper, but we're not there yet. Let me tell you about the episode first. They go down to the basement of their house for the first time, which if I didn't think these guys were rich before, I think they're rich now. This basement is huge, and everybody hits their head on the pipe, which is kind of a funny bit. Like, they do that in the last season episodes, Wizards versus Vampires. So it's funny that they're bringing it back, and they actually have Max look at it, know that it's there, and still hit it anyway. I laughed out loud at that part, because that's just genius to me. The siblings fight over the basement. Justin and Alex are like, this could be my space, this could be my space. And it kind of ends on like a harsh note where they don't really agree. Harper finds out in the episode that she's moving, and it's kind of disrespectful because when she's on the phone with her mom, she's like, the Russos said yes, they'll let me move with them.
Well, let me ask my mom for permission. Mom, you were right. They did ask. Okay, bye. She said yes, group hug.
And it's like so obvious that they would have just let them do that anyway. I find that kind of sweet, but it's also a little disrespectful because, like, why would you assume you could just live with an entire family? Although she's been here since season 1, so like knowing they're wizards, I feel like the intimacy is already there. She is the one to end up moving into the basement, which is a really quick solve to Justin and Alex's conflict.
This is gonna be so great, Harper.
I know. 2 best friends living together, sharing the load.
Okay, great. So...
You think it's going to be one of those episodes where they just conflict with each other a lot because they're living together now, and they did that on Hannah Montana. That's like a very Sweet Life of Zack and Cody consistent thing, but Wizards chose not to go that route, so they actually had this be like more of a sentimental moment for Alex and Harper where they find their old dollhouse, and it's really sweet and cute, but they want to sell it. The parents end up selling it to this little girl down the street because obviously they're too old for it. They're not playing with it. For me, it's all about nostalgia. So if you ever sold my stuff, my mom would be so in trouble. My mom would be punished. In the B-plot, Justin basically is trying to sell his Captain Jim Bob Sherwood prized possession, and there's this haggler that keeps coming in wanting to get a cheaper and cheaper price for it. So it's all about Justin's negotiation skills.
Wow.
I'll give you $75 for it.
$75? Cute. I should charge you $75 just for looking at it.
Which actually does go into the plot, just stick around. Alex is now into art. It's funny that, like, she's all into this painting ever since the Paint by Committee episode, which is notably not my favorite episode. Alex shrinks herself down to enjoy the playhouse that her and Harper once shared, and just in time for Teresa and Jerry to accidentally sell it to a little kid. Oh my gosh, so annoying. So yeah, next thing you know, the house is gone, nobody could find Alex, and Harper, it's up to her to solve the situation, which I like. I like that it's like an episode about her moving in, but more so her having to like take responsibility for Alex. It shows that she really is like a part of the family at this point. Harper's crush on Justin still hasn't ended, and it's kind of getting a harassy, like where she just keeps going up to him and she's like, wow, like this is never gonna happen. And it's like, what? Harper, give it a break. He's dated somebody else. She even makes these jokes during like the last couple episodes of the season when he's dating Juliet, so it's even more nuts.
If you weren't so darn cute, I'd be mad at you right now.
Harper, what?
Wow.
The girl's playing with the dollhouse, and Harper's trying to get it back because literally Alex is in there. Obviously, she can't tell this little girl, so she has to somehow negotiate. I might as well call this the negotiating episode, because this is essentially what happens. The next scene is super funny. Justin has Max come in as a potential bidder for his Captain Jim Bob Sherwood thing, and bid a lot of money. So that way this other guy comes in and bets more, which is really funny. Because Max obviously doesn't know how to do it right, and I don't know how this guy doesn't pick up on stuff like that.
$75!
No, hey! Is that a Colonel Jim
Captain!
Captain Jim Bob Sherwood Barnyard Command Module?
This girl ends up like harassing Alex and like putting her in a dress and makeup, which I don't know how you put on makeup that perfectly if the doll is like as small as Alex is in this episode. That's kind of nuts. I like that it does represent the dollhouse theme, and that's funny. Justin ends up having to use all of the money he just got from his sale of the Captain Jim Bob Sherwood to get this dollhouse back for Alex. And it's so funny because she's just like, haha, you had to do that. And it's like, dang, you're like really just making fun of him for feeling like he has to do something good for you. Like he could have kept like all those thousands of dollars, but instead he had to buy back something they already had. Oh my God, that's like so not fair. All around, it's a nice happy ending, and Alex comes right back to normal. And that's when things start to pick up for this saga. I'm not going to stop laughing at Max in this episode. I feel like it's cool how all of the subplots like intertwined, and then also they naturally had Harper move in, and none of this felt like a huge deal or like a complicated transition. It feels like it came across like very naturally, you know? Season 3, Episode 7 is Marathoner Helper, and this one is interesting. It's another Alex and Harper episode, essentially. The last one was more of an Alex episode, I would say. This one is about Harper running the marathon. Her and Justin are both involved in this Waverly Place marathon, which is going on down their street. Kind of crazy, but the episode starts off super funny. It's like Harper running on the treadmill with an audio track of a bunch of dogs barking to inspire her. And basically Alex is like, you never said you would do a marathon if you lived with me. And she's like, no, there's no way. So Alex is getting really annoyed that she's losing her best friend to things that are healthy, pretty much. Like Alex is just like wanting to hang out on the couch and watch TV. So she ends up putting a spell on Harper that helps her win the marathon. Max is like selling his smoothie at this marathon thing, and he's getting wackier and wackier as the episodes go on. He even put a napkin in this drink. That's disgusting. I don't know why Justin thinks he needs to win, but I guess he's a part of it too. And thanks to the parents in front of Harper, they out Alex's spell on her. There's apparently like a cheater's book of spells, which is super crazy that that even exists. Jerry finds it and realizes that Alex actually cheated to help Harper, which... awkward. This kind of reminds me of the episode of Hannah Montana where Lily wanted to go to the Washington trip with Miley, and then Miley was like, oh, I'll give you the money to go on the trip, but Lily was like, no, I don't want to accept your money, so Miley cheated by giving the money in anyway, saying that it was from somebody else, and the entire episode was them bickering about that. That's kind of what this is feeling like, is a little bit of resentment bubbled up between the two's friendship, and Harper kind of, it's affecting her a lot. The mom is pretty attached to the trophy the whole episode, with Justin being like, oh wait, so she cheated, you have to give the trophy back. And the mom is like, no, we're not doing that, which is wacky to me. Turns out that Alex has been doing this to Harper longer than she realized. Like, there was like an old spelling bee that she helped her win. I don't know why Alex just used all of her magic to help Harper. It's kind of thoughtful as a friend, actually. Even though it's not really with her consent. I guess that's not really that fair, actually. So yeah, Harper is pretty furious at Alex until she comes up with this idea to help recreate all the competitions that she helped cheat to win. Which, I don't know if that actually morally makes up for the fact that she cheated all these times without meaning to. I don't know. But it's very sweet what Alex is trying to do, and like getting everybody involved, like Max and Jerry, which is, it's just such a weird like sitcom-y trope to happen. Zeke is such a funny character, and I didn't realize until I was like watching around this episode again, because like he's very supportive and he's super funny. I don't know why, like he's just such a charming character to see constantly come back. So yeah, they help Harper try to beat all these competitions, even have a karate match, which I didn't realize Harper ever did, or during their friendship. How come there's never been a joke about it, any sort of reference to her doing karate? Like, that's such a specific thing to have ignored. It reminds me of the fencing bit from the iCarly reboot. Like, what?
In my day, the fight wasn't over until you saw bone. Give me my black belt. Make me. Hey, I'm just kidding. You already made me.
The episode ends in a way that most sitcoms do, where Harper is sitting sad on the sidewalk and Alex has a talk with her. They manage to make up, and Harper just essentially lost everything today. Like, she couldn't win the spelling bee, she couldn't win the karate competition, and it's just so funny to think she really set her mind to it and could not accomplish it. But it makes Alex look like a better friend for trying to help give her the confidence, but then again, it did give her like a false sense of hope, so I don't really know whose side I'm on with this one. So many weight jokes from Jerry this episode, though. Like, I can't even imagine how many times he's referencing his weight. Like, this is insane. And the episode ends with him, which is kind of a funny beat. I don't know if we needed another Alex and Harper filler episode, but it's nice to see their relationship and bond strengthen. But for the most part, this was more of like a comedic relief episode because things are about to get a lot more intense. Especially with the next one, Alex charms a boy. This is the introduction of her werewolf boyfriend, Mason. But obviously they don't start out as boyfriend and girlfriend. Just listen to me, okay? Start off with them in art class. There's this British guy. I guess he just has an accent and that's his personality.
Sorry, I think you dropped this.
No, that's not mine.
Yeah, I know. I needed an excuse to come and talk to you.
He hits on Alex during the class, and they definitely have a little bit of chemistry. This is kind of crazy. He kind of reminds me of Chad Dillon Cooper a little bit, the way he's like super slick and very sweet, but at the same time, he's not really full of himself, so I don't think that's a fair comparison. Mr. Laritate is for some reason teaching the art class, which is crazy because it's like, what else hasn't he taught? Harper drew a bunch of kitties, which is actually really cute. I like her image in this. This is kind of sad. Justin is still looking for Juliet, his vampire girlfriend that he had lost because of the fact she was possessed by the mummy he was searching for in his monster hunting endeavors. Can you imagine an entire internship where you accidentally possessed your girlfriend to be enslaved to somebody else? Yeah, that would be crazy, right? Yeah, so Justin's monster hunting experience is insane. I can't believe we took a break from it last episode. I almost like forgot it was even happening. This is kind of a sad plot, like seeing him like try so hard to find her. There's a lot of emotional weight behind it that I was not expecting to get out of Wizards, but it's kind of a cool plot line to keep going. So Mason and Alex really hit it off. They have like a little date on the New York rooftop and throw a water balloon down at pedestrians, which I don't think is legal. And yeah, Mason is just trying to woo Alex over, which is crazy because they kind of have chemistry. It seems like they're already an item anyway, like you don't really have to win her over. A nice little montage of them getting to know each other, and it's very sweet. So in Justin's endeavors to find Juliet, Jerry actually gives him these goggles that allow you to see behind you, which is super funny. Like, why would that be helpful? Because you can't see in front of you. And I don't know. It's nice that they're all trying to help. Max gets involved, and it becomes like a really big mission for them to complete. And it's actually a part of this serial plot line, so stay tuned because it's not me talking about this for no reason. Essentially, we just kind of accept that they're in a relationship at this point. Like, Alex buys a painting for him and calls the two in a couple, so it's pretty established that they're together at this point. So Alex ends up bringing this painting into class and essentially wants this to be a meme. Like, her and Mason both have like ridiculous paintings, so she puts hers up, and then it turns out his was actually a genuine attempt. So she pretty much embarrasses him and herself all in that moment, and I kind of feel bad. I feel like that's kind of like a bullying miscommunication. I don't even know. It just feels more cruel than usual. Turns out that Mason is actually really into art in kind of a cringy way, which actually turns Alex off to him like completely. Kind of insane that that's like where she draws the line with him, but okay. Justin trying to use these glasses to actually like help him in his monster hunting is just plain ridiculous. It's funny to watch happen, but it's like crazy they're even considering using them. The biggest conflict in this episode is Mason drawing a picture of Alex as a dog, and she's super like worried about it or embarrassed or something, but doesn't want to hurt his feelings. So she brings out this magic conch shell that is actually gonna help her.
Praise the magic conch!
Harper has a really good point. Like, Alex is trying to use magic before it becomes a problem, and she's just like, please just let him paint you as a dog. It's not going to be that big of a deal. But Alex is like, no, I'm going to use magic. Crazy to think about. Next thing you know, she becomes his muse, which is kind of late in the episode. It feels like more than halfway through is when she actually charms a boy, which is the weird name of the episode. A lot of moral issues go in throughout this episode, like Harper confronting Alex about the fact she's using magic to make their relationship okay, which is a really good point. I feel like this is something that a lot of supernatural shows don't necessarily touch on, but it's really interesting. Next thing you know, Mason is getting a little too obsessive, drawing Alex and having her be the main center point of everything he creates, and is pretty devoted to her at this point. Jerry is witnessing this, and it's kind of an embarrassing moment, I gotta be honest. Then it's just him being obsessed with drawing Alex. He draws her on the street of Waverly Place, and it just gets further and further, and of course Alex is still seeing this like not really as a problem, and Jerry actually picks up on it and can tell it's magic. Alex ends up getting the shell and undoing Mason's spell, which is great because obviously that was like a bad thing to start out doing anyway. So it's good to see like the magic coming back and resolving before it gets like necessarily worse. The two share a kiss in the rain, and it's very clear that they're going to be together for a little bit longer than one episode. But hey, prove me wrong, Disney, prove me wrong. So yeah, seeing magic take a more influential impact on the kids' relationships as they become adults is even crazier. So that's why the third season has really got me like invested in everything that's going on. I feel like it's doing a good job at like evolving the magical issues to grow up with the kids themselves. And things take a really big climax when we get to the next episode, Wizards versus Werewolves. So this is a two-part episode, and in this, it's like kind of the culmination of the Monster Hunter storyline and also the Mason storyline we started like just a couple episodes ago. You could kind of argue that this would essentially be like a part of the Monster Hunter arc, but I kind of see it as like a separate arc that's all leading up to this werewolf thing, because the werewolf is such a big component to the show as of this episode going forward, so I feel like it had to exist on its own. So yeah, Alex has her first relationship in this, and everything is going well for her. Meanwhile, Justin is pretty much heartbroken and still grieving his girlfriend being gone. And there's a lot of emotional stakes going on in this episode, so I was not expecting how everything was going to inevitably play out. Like before, the two-part episodes were just like wizard school, or like a plot that went a little too far with a villain, but now we're kind of getting to a lot more emotionally dramatic driven episodes, which is not necessarily a bad thing. So, beginning of the episode, Mason gives Alex a really sweet gift. It's this heart that actually glows when somebody's in love. A really interesting idea. It's an amulet, essentially, something that comes back up in Beyond Waverly Place, which I find really cool that they set it up here and even paid it off in the new series. So if you haven't seen the new series, I did a retrospective on that, and I'm telling you, it's worth watching. Like, you should check that out. But yeah, so relationships going really well with Alex and Mason, and things are about to happen. I like that we didn't find out that Mason was a werewolf up until this episode. Like, there's like a little bit of an obsession with dogs, which is a nice foreshadowing, but it never really came as a conflict in the plot quite yet, which is kind of nice that like they ease us into the relationship before the complication. That way we get more emotionally invested. So in this episode, Mason starts acting a little sketchy and randomly runs away from any date him and Alex are sharing. And I'm gonna spoil this, he's a werewolf. Yeah, like he just can't be out when the full moon comes or else he'll transform. So he finds any excuse to ditch Alex and just get out. But he's not even subtle about it. He's like screaming and running out of the room. I don't know what you're expecting, boy. But you're young, I guess that makes sense for like a teenager to not necessarily think all that through. They finally add a little bit of music to this episode, so every time Mason runs away, we get like a little tinge of suspicion.
Oh wait, your backpack.
I'll get it tomorrow.
Which is scary. And that comes back a lot in this episode. Justin's reaching his breaking point at this point. Not able to get over Juliet and still like committed to his monster studies. It's weird to see Justin go through such a weird transformation because of all this trauma. You know, like he just lost his girlfriend and this internship seems to be a lot more cold to him. He's becoming a lot more like apathetic, I would say, in his life. Mason starts acting suspicious around Alex's family during family dinner, which does not help either. He runs comes out of that once again. Alex keeps writing this off as him being British and having cultural differences, which I actually find really funny. I like it when jokes are kind of like that. Alex ends up being really upset, and the family has to comfort her because of him leaving once again, and now it's starting to get real. Max ends up coming through for Justin by getting somebody from the wizard world. And of course, Max is not helpful at all. Like, he brings back this kid and he's just lost. And that's actually a really funny bit. I love that it's like Max trying to help, but making the situation like just adjacently worse. So as Mason's about to leave one more time, Alex is really suspicious. Same thing with Harper. So they actually plan to not let him get away this time. So right as he's about to leave Waverly Place, they end up stopping him and he's not able to get away. He transforms right under the moon. He's a werewolf. Rut-row. That's what Scooby would say. It's kind of relevant when you think about it. A great break for the first episode, like right at the commercial break is when he transforms and it's like, what's going on? Alex ends up telling him that she's a wizard, which kind of makes the whole thing a little bit easier. It's less of like a huge reveal and more like, you're a werewolf, I'm a wizard, just so you know, this is all okay. And they finally get together as a family, and it's kind of sweet because you think that it's actually going to work out because of all this. And of course, Justin can't deal with it. Alex is happy in a relationship and Justin's just reminded of Juliet, which really sucks because, you know, like, it was the other way around a bunch of episodes ago. It was like Juliet fitting in with their family and now Alex is getting all the success. I feel bad for Justin in this moment. They end up going all the way to Transylvania, which was something I was not expecting of this episode, but it's a cool transition. Mason actually helps Justin, Alex, and Max, and they all are able to finally track down the mummy and find out where Juliet is. It's kind of cool because they get to this like Egyptian sculpture and essentially have to solve a quick little puzzle in order to get her back. And this is where the epic finale takes a crazy turn. So Juliet comes back and Mason somehow recognizes her. So 2 story beats ago, we were just finding out that Mason was a werewolf, and now we find out that he used to date Juliet and can jump to and from a werewolf. There's a lot of stuff that they're expecting us to know at this point. It's kind of scary to think about because the tone shifts to be a lot more dramatic and the sitcom is like completely dropped. And then we see Mason confess his love for Juliet in front of Alex, actually like really offending her, upsetting her, and Juliet like doesn't even know what to do. Like, poor Justin also stuck in all of this. It's like the Russos never can get a break, honestly. So yeah, everybody loves the wrong person and it kind of ends on heartbreak. Like, how could Alex ever trust Mason again after he just confessed his love for her? And now she has that amulet that says that she loves him as well, so it's kind of embarrassing. Part 2 is like our first official Wizards of Waverly Place breakup episode, where Alex is actually really suffering, and we feel bad for her in a way that we've never felt before because she's never been like this sad before. She's always been cunning or like devious, but she's never been like emotionally impacted like this. So it's kind of interesting. I'm thinking the whole time, how in the world is Mason gonna make up for this? Like, I know they're dating in future episodes, something happens, like, how in the world are they going to get past this specific situation, you know? Teresa tries to give her advice, and she just seems a lot more shallow than she ever was. But, you know, we got some good comedic moments. I feel like just the characters have to look a little bit worse in order to get some jokes out here, because Alex is really suffering. We watch her cry a lot of times in this episode, and I don't know, the 3rd season's getting a little too deep for me. A bunch of times, Mason keeps trying to come back and get Alex to listen to him, but it never really works, and he kind of gives up, making me think that like he is kind of guilty. He doesn't blatantly say like, I'm not in love with her, so I don't know why everybody would stop doing it. It's nice to see the family get super protective, like Justin and Max try to get Mason away from her so he doesn't hurt her, and it's just really sweet watching everybody like be so protective. So Mason gets into cahoots with Max to try to get Alex back, which is so funny that Max is even like willing to betray his sister so easily. It kind of makes his character look a little worse, but it's so hard because it's just, he's so funny, I can't even like question it for some reason. So Mason convinces Alex to go all the way back to Transylvania where they found Juliet and actually prove that none of this was like in his control. She ends up ditching her family and friends and her protection essentially just to go with him, and basically like she's really hoping he doesn't betray her again. But he's pretty convincing. I do wish he did a better job at convincing her, because I still don't believe him. So Justin, Juliet, and Max show up trying to stop whatever's about to happen. It ends up in this full-on, like, werewolf versus wizards fight, which is the whole point of the episode, and Juliet ends up being the one to attack Mason in a way to, like, stop it from happening. And it's kind of a cheesy action scene, but I feel like most of the stuff they got away with, like, the CGI is a lot cheesier than you would think, but the action shots really, like, distract you from it. And there's a lot of emotional stakes here, so it feels like the action is, like, warranted. I don't know, though. Mason looks really weird as, like, a full werewolf. It looks like a Halloween costume, and it's not as bad as the Monster Hunter costumes from earlier, you know, like the monsters that were attacking Justin, but it's still a little hard to look at. So then things take a really crazy twist when Mason ends up biting Juliet, turns her back into the actual age she is, which is insane. She becomes a super old lady, and her and Justin can no longer be together. So not only did they just reconnect and everything got better, but now, like, for a genuine reason, they can't be together anymore. It sucks because it's like, dang, like poor Justin never gets a break. It's nice to know that, like, Juliet's safe and everything, but now that they're, like, not together, it's really sad that they don't keep touch. They don't, like, this is the end for them. The amulet that Mason gave Alex in the episode before actually comes into play here, where he puts it on and she can tell that he's in love with her. So I guess that's enough to make up and go back to dating again. I don't know. Mason has some really sketchy experiences throughout this 2-part episode, so I don't even know what to make of this. But Alex and Justin have a nice heart-to-heart at the end of it, making both of them, like, realize that they've been going through a lot lately and really need each other more than ever. It's nice to see them, like, come together as a team. The episode ends on, like, a comedic note with none of the couples ending up together and just them alone in Transylvania, and that's the end of that beat. What the heck? These were a weird couple episodes, but they definitely, like, had a lot of really interesting ideas, story stakes, like, emotional beats. I love watching episodes where characters go through bad breakups. I don't know why. There's something about it that's interesting to me. And we kind of take a break from all the heaviness with another filler episode, Positive Alex, Season 3, Episode 11. In this episode, Alex is trying to get the attention of Austin Butler, this guy who is pretty much a side character in all these teen shows, became a main character on Zoe 101 for the 4th season, and a very charming actor. Like, I like this guy in a lot of the stuff he's in. In this episode, Alex is a part of the cheer squad, but she's actually pretty negative. Like, nothing she does is, like, for the cheer squad. She's just trying to be a rebel for the sake of being a rebel, and kind of ruining everybody's fun. It's getting a little bit immature this late into high school, I would say, and Austin Butler can read that in her. Like, he's basically like, I don't want to date a girl that, like, is not positive ever. So of course she needs to use a spell. So it's one of those episodes where you use spells to impress a boy. She becomes super overly positive, a little too peppy, to a point of annoying everybody else in her life. Justin's hair is so emo in this first half. I cannot get over it. Like, it is such a part of his personality to see it, like, sticking up or sticking down. Like, they really took that and, like, made sure it was perfect. I don't know why. Max has a lot of really good one-liners in this episode. And of course, Austin Butler just has to go with it. Like, he is very clearly into her now that she's positive, and it's like, he's not even trying to hide it. Like, that's so shallow, man. It's so sad, though. Like, right after Mason, Alex just jumps right back on the horse in this entire episode. You couldn't have put one filler episode between this and that. Like, that's the point of filler episodes, I thought. Almost the entire episode takes place in the school's auditorium in this basketball game, which I actually find really interesting because they somehow avoid it being about basketball, and yet it's still kind of interesting. Alex gets way too far with this pep and positivity stuff that she starts cheering on the other teams, and they end up starting to lose. So it's going a little too far in such a weird way that only has to do with school. So the episode has a pretty easy resolve where it's just like Harper just wipes the spell off of her arm and she becomes back to her normal self. Essentially, she just sabotaged herself the entire episode, became positive for a little bit. Like, such a weird episode that really didn't have to be here. I'm not gonna question it too much, but like, why? Justin in this entire episode is funny because he's like clearly not good at sports, so like he's always being benched, he's not really accomplishing anything, and it's a good reason for the Russos to keep coming to the games. Like obviously both their kids are there so they could be a part of the plot, which I liked. Max is trying to record the whole event, and we get like a really funny home video by the end of the whole thing. So all around, like, it was doing a really good job at being pretty funny for what I would consider a waste of plot lines in an episode. It's nice to see the show progress still, though. And Positive Alex is the last I would consider in this saga because the next couple episodes introduce a whole new character. So yeah, this whole Wizards versus Werewolves gimmick was very interesting. I really wish it was spread out through a couple more episodes, but the fact they did it more than 2 were a good help. I think we got a lot more of Harper and Alex in this chunk of episodes, and then Alex and Justin, a lot of their conflicts growing up. Like, it's a really good section of episodes, but it feels more filler. I mean, of course, we need Mason introduced because he's going to be in a lot more plot lines in the future, but right after this is where it gets actually super interesting for me. So this next chunk of Wizards of Waverly Place episodes are completely unforgettable. The fact that I didn't grow up with them really shocked me because these plot twists are insane. Like, how in the world did I not remember this? It starts from episode 12, Detention Election, and goes all the way to 16, The Good, the Bad, and the Alex, which we'll talk a lot more about later. So this whole saga, or story arc, is kind of revolved around this new friend Alex has at school named Stevie. She's like this rebel girl. That starts off in episode 12, Detention Election. So in this episode, Justin is actually running for class president, something that you've never seen in a TV show before. Just kidding. Obviously, it's been there multiple times. Alex, of course, gets sent to detention pretty early in the episode.
Good enough to land you in Saturday detention. You know, just because you're frozen, it doesn't mean you're not here.
So Mr. Laritate ends up showing up at the Russo's house, and we think it's for Alex, and she's going to be in trouble. And he's essentially like, no, I'm here to take Justin to detention. Which, by the way, I don't think teachers can actually escort you to detention from your home. Weird, though. Oh, but it all makes sense because the context is that somebody vandalized Mr. Laritate's office with all these posters of Justin for his presidency campaign. And of course, it looks like he did it because who else would have as much incentive to do that? Alex is already there, actually, so it's kind of funny that both the siblings are in detention for the first time. Here is where they meet Stevie, who is pretty noticeably a new character. Like, they give her a lot of lines. It's clear that Alex respects her. She's like the worst parts of Alex pretty much off the bat, causing a lot of chaos with Mr. Laritate. I think it's funny that we haven't really seen her in this world before. I wish we could have. But yeah, watching Alex defend Justin, though, is actually kind of sweet. It's funny that Justin actually doesn't accept it. He, like, kind of tries to turn it on her. Not cool, Justin. One of the characters that Justin was paired off with in an earlier episode, this jock, is in the episode, which is kind of cool. It's just he doesn't have a lot of funny jokes. Alex is devoted to trying to find out who actually put all the posters in Mr. Laritate's office, which is kind of interesting because her defense is that she's the one who does pranks. Therefore, she's the one who has to stop it. I don't know. That's a weird reason for me, but whatever. Justin actually takes accountability for this prank because it kind of would win him popularity points. So he tries to actually fit in with the jocks as well. Something that's really interesting to have happen. Like, he clearly is bad at acting like a rebel. He literally has his pants by his ankles, which I don't understand why this needed to happen, but it is funny. They have a pretty creative solve to this whole thing. Basically, Alex breaks into the school, turns all the posters to life, and asks them specifically who hung them up. So in the end, Justin inevitably does win the election, and Alex stands up to kind of take credit for the whole incident, perhaps even take the guilt off of Justin. I don't know. She just wants to look good, and after not being able to find the girl, it's kind of crazy. We learned that it was Stevie, the rebel girl, and she's finally introduced, like, a lot more formally. She proves that she actually did this by showing all the posters in the locker, and I'm kind of like, why in the world would somebody pull something like this off? It makes no sense to me, but whatever. I like seeing Alex so determined to figure it out and actually have it matter to her, while Justin is also just trying to be a rebel and fit in with all the people that are voting for him. Kind of a random plot line, but Jerry, Max, and Harper get stuck on a Ferris wheel, which really has little to do with the plot, so I'm not even going to get into it. All around, this episode was really fun. It was a really creative way to introduce a new character, and as we dive more into Stevie's personality, I think you guys will be surprised by some things. But in the meantime, we kind of have a filler episode, Season 3, Episode 13, Dude Looks Like Shakira. And this one's even weirder. So Calbo, Uncle Calbo, is a friend of the family's. He's the one who kept his powers from Jerry's family. Jerry's the father, the one who trains all the wizards. It's kind of an interesting conflict of interest. The parents are going away for the weekend, and Calbo is in charge. Surprisingly enough, though, Shakira comes instead. Her and Alex share a really awkwardly long musical number that essentially ruins the whole episode for me. I don't know why we need to see Selena Gomez and Shakira sing together, especially since it has nothing to do with the plot. So Shakira turns back into Uncle Calbo, and we learn that apparently she is a persona made up by him. Oh my gosh, Shakira never existed. That's so funny. It's done on a lot of shows. I think I remember South Park did it with Randy inventing Lorde. Like, Lorde doesn't exist until he invented her. It happens on American Dad all the time. The little alien Roger always transforms, and they just kind of take it on as a new person. To see it in a kid's show like this is really funny, and it's a creative idea. I like that they're doing it. Uncle Calbo basically is in some deep trouble and needs Alex's help to pull it off, probably because it's a crime-driven thing and Alex is the best at keeping secrets and pulling off pranks, so she's the one that needs to be involved. Of course, it's a moment before Justin gets to realize who Shakira actually is, and he meets her, not realizing it's their uncle, and Alex pretty much has to kind of sway him in the direction of it. He's having a problem. He's like flashing in and out of Shakira constantly, and all of this is breaking an important wizard rule that you can't magically get fame and fortune, but it seems like Calbo did, so he's very nervous about it. Oh, but before Justin can find out, Shakira promises that she's going to play at his birthday party. Oh my gosh. And yeah, some kids at school find out, so they actually have to go through with this. Oh my gosh, they're in some deep trouble. Alex finally convinces Justin to not go to the Wizard Council and tell on their uncle by having this whole speech about family, which is funny because, of course, Alex doesn't actually care about that stuff. So Justin agrees to help and actually tries to make this like weird wizard shake that would actually help Kobo control how he's switching in and out of Shakira, but he doesn't want to drink it. It's funny watching Justin have to parent this adult man. It's so crazy.
Drinking it.
And Max tries to get out of being a trash can, which is also funny. I like the comedy in this season a lot. They end up not being able to get away with it, so they have to still go through with this whole party thing. So Shakira is about to perform, and Justin and Alex are having a really hard time keeping it a secret. If anything, it just gets worse and worse, because not only does she keep flashing back into Kelbo like before, and they have to explain it to the whole crowd. Oh my god, this is so funny how this part goes. But then the parents come home. Yeah, so Jerry and Teresa know exactly what's going on, and in order to cover up all the wizard situations, which feels like a season 1 plot, honestly, they all dress up like they would Shakira. And they make it seem like that this whole family was pulling a prank on the student body, which it's a funny way of having Kelbo come back after being in like the first season, a couple episodes. Like, I like that he's like this daredevil of the group that Jerry has to deal with because it's his brother. And the actor is really funny, so seeing him in this show, like kid show, is just so unexpected. Episode 14 of Season 3 is called Eat to the Beat. And this one's a lot of fun. It's more of a power battle between Justin and Alex, which is always a good time. As you recall, Stevie entered a couple episodes ago, and her and Alex are essentially friends. This episode is unique because it takes place completely in the school cafeteria. I mean, there's some scenes other places, but for the most part, that's where all the action happens. Alex and Justin pretty much fight over who the school entertainment's going to be during lunch periods. We start out with Harper, which is actually really funny. It's just her dressing up in different costumes and performing theatrical plays, pretty much. It's really a funny bit. And she starts to drift away from Alex a little bit as Alex spends more time with Stevie, who is a lot more like her than Harper is, and you could tell the disconnect in this episode specifically. Justin's the president, so his power is going to his head, and when Alex is like, oh, we should have a rock band throughout lunchtime instead of Harper, Justin actually takes her idea and gets a jazz band, which is really weird. Which, by the way, having any band in your school must be like a privilege. Like, that's gotta be fun. Harper in this episode is hilarious, just every scene, she does something even crazier. Alex and Stevie end up finding a really awesome band called Ugh, which is a crazy name for a band, on Waverly Place, and they're a good rock band. So Stevie ends up convincing them to play at their school as if it's a gig. And the band gets excited and actually shows up, which I think is completely insane. They mentioned that they're not gonna pay her, which that's not cool. So Alex has to cancel the current jazz band that has been playing and then trick Justin, which is actually a really funny scene. Like, they're on the phone the whole time and Stevie like says the jazz band broke their uvula so they can't perform, which Justin's like, what the heck do you mean? He even talks to the actual manager of the band and trashes him, realizing this is Alex's prank, which is funny because obviously joke's on him at this point. They get Ugg to show up, and once Stevie notices that Alex and Justin are fighting really heavily over this, she ends up casting a spell. So yeah, we learn that Stevie actually has magical powers, a crazy reveal that I was not expecting. Everything kind of works out in the end because Stevie believes that a sister and brother have to have a really good relationship, kind of reflecting on the fact that she has a relationship with her brother, which is really complicated, but we'll jump into that when it comes to it. It's just sweet to see Stevie like try to keep the two siblings together. Like, it's definitely a genuine nice thing to do despite all of her dark side. Meanwhile, Alex is learning a lot from her as she sees that like you could still be a bad kid and somehow nice. The whole interesting part of this episode is the Stevie and Alex relationship. It feels like the whole eat to the beat concept is almost second nature when it comes to just Alex and Stevie trying to pull off this prank. The whole Stevie being a wizard thing is very jarring because obviously none of us were expecting that. Like, we weren't introduced to her as a wizard, we never saw her do a spell up until this point. And she did it for a very noble thing, kind of giving the audience a reason to trust it really quickly. That's when we get to season 3, episode 15, Third Wheel. And it actually set up a lot of this plot in the last episode, where Harper isn't hanging out with Alex as much because she's bonding with Stevie. And in this episode, basically, it gets even worse. Harper is more insecure about their relationship. And something I didn't expect to happen is Alex finding out that this girl is a wizard pretty quickly. So now the one thing that Alex and Harper had in common, which was knowing the fact that she was a wizard, is brought out to Stevie, because obviously Alex and Stevie are so alike at this point that it's uncanny. And now that there's no secrets between them two, Harper and Alex almost aren't gonna be as close anymore. And this episode's really sad in that sense. Like, I feel like Hannah Montana has done this before with like the friendship breakup and like getting jealous, but here it's a lot more sad. Probably because, like, the characters have developed so far. Harper has literally moved in with Alex. Like, their relationship is very deep into it. Justin makes Harper insecure because he's like, wow, I did not see that coming. Like, you guys have nothing in common now, which is kind of a burn to begin with. Stevie is pretty much a bad influence on Alex, with both of them using magic for frivolous, crazy stuff. A lot of the episode follows Harper, and it's actually kind of sweet, like, especially when Jerry gives advice to Harper. Like, it's nice to see that she's, like, this close into the family. It makes me wish she was in the new reboot series. Jerry has an emotional breakdown with Harper at the same time, and it's actually kind of sweet. So, since Harper's out of commission, it's a lot harder for them to get their float done, which is kind of a weird overarching plot in this episode. They did that in the new series too, where it's like all the characters are working on a parade float, but since everybody's kind of relying on Harper for this, Justin becomes in some deep issues. So, he changes himself into Alex to try to apologize to Harper and get her back on the float, but of course, real Alex shows up and things get awkward. This is a fun way to use this spell. Like, I can't believe believe Justin's actually turned into his sister and done something irresponsible. Like, what a crazy experience. Alex ends up having a talk with Harper that makes her feel better about the fact that they haven't been spending much time together and that she'll never feel like a third wheel because the two are sisters, essentially. And it's really sweet. I like that they get to all come together and the float's finished by the end. Harper ends up getting in detention for something Alex does, which just proves that her friendship is so much more important. But there's a really intense argument between the two that you never really see in the show. I was completely shocked by this because it's so clear that maybe they could break up as friends. But the bond they've built is so strong, and seeing it end on such a positive note after detention where the two girls reconnect, it's definitely like a really good way to end a Disney Channel episode. It's kind of like romantic in a friendship way. Overall, it's just cool to have tension rise between Alex and Harper, given like everything that's about to happen, and Third Wheel just serves as a really interesting episode. Having all these steps be a part of a bigger arching plot is really cool. Like, Eat to the Beat, I didn't even realize that Jerry and Teresa weren't in that episode. Max wasn't in it. Like, it's doing a good job at spreading out all the work between the actors that matter and the storylines they want to tell, because they've been working on this show for so long at this point. It's all getting really cleaned up. So The Good, the Bad, and the Alex is really lore heavy. We have the introduction of a character named Stevie a couple episodes earlier. It took a while for us to get to know her. We had like an episode where we met her, an episode where Harper was jealous of her and Alex's friendship, and an episode where we found out that Stevie is actually a wizard herself. Interesting? Well, this is where it actually gets juicy. So we find out that Stevie was actually using Alex this whole time, like getting to know her, like befriending her, just to kind of get her to be a part of this revolution against the wizard competition. So the wizard competition is this thing we heard about earlier in the series, where every family's siblings have to fight to decide which wizard will get their powers. It's mentioned a lot of times, but basically it's really important. Max, Alex, and Justin are inevitably going to have this wizard competition, which is kind of why the show is so exciting. It's like always like this build up to the day that they have to compete over who is the best between all three of them. And in this episode, basically, they find out that Stevie, who is a wizard, actually was in competition with her brother and lost. Wait. But that's not the interesting part. The interesting part is that she'd left right before her powers had been taken away. So her brother's been waiting for like, I don't know, years in this little ceremonial office, and Stevie's just like moved on with her life, like went to school just to keep her powers. And it's kind of depressing, kind of dark. She talks a lot about how she cares about her brother and like kind of hypes him up a lot to Alex, and even like gets between her and Justin a lot of times, is like, really cherish your brother, like hold on to him, which is why it's even more devastating to think that she made such a strong decision. We got hints throughout their relationship that there was something up with Stevie, but I did not think it was this intense. I mean, she's pretty morally corrupt, and I love when you like have a character that weaves itself into the daily cast that you kind of like, you really start to enjoy. She kind of reminds me of Hyde from That 70s Show, where she's just like this buddy rebellion character, and she and Alex get along and they appreciate each other. But then it just turns out she has a bunch of followers and is going to boycott the wizard family competition. And it's interesting because I didn't realize how maybe the family competition wasn't always necessary. Like, it's interesting that she's portrayed as evil just because she wants to stop that. Like, she wants every wizard to have their own powers, not have to fight your siblings for it. And I'm kind of like, whoa, wait, that's kind of a genius idea. Like, why did I even agree with Justin being like, no, like, we have to have this wizard family competition? It's like, why? Like, why do they need to? And I never questioned that earlier when I watched the show, and I love that through the third season they even got to that level with the development of it. Like, there's so much lore that I didn't even expect. And with Stevie being a rebellious character, but that's just enough like Alex to be slightly worse, and Alex can learn from her and her mistakes to see, like, she could be going down a really dark path easily. Like, Alex is the perfect target for a revolution like that. Everything Stevie is preaching is like kind of what Alex must have had in the back of her mind this whole time. You know, like, she couldn't have always assumed she was gonna win. A couple episodes ago, they had her actually like acknowledge that she's not learned like even 100 spells, and like Justin's learned like 5,000. So we know she's insecure about that. And this new relationship, friendship of her and Stevie is just really interesting. Because it kind of scratches an itch that she's always been having, worried about what she's going to do as a wizard. And it's so crazy because it's very clear that when Alex chooses to not fight back Stevie, that she has gone to the dark side. And it's really interesting the way they pave the dark side and the light side be paired to this conversation of like whether you believe the family competition is worth it or not. And it's just making me realize how intense this show can really be. Max is really funny in this episode. I feel like he has this tendency to be morally ambiguous and go on whatever side he perceives is going to be winning, or whatever side has like the benefit. Like, I don't even think he actually cares about success half the time. And so when Alex decides to turn against Justin and Harper and actually take down the wizard competition with Stevie, you know, like run that whole revolution, Max demands that he becomes king of the wizard world, and she like acts as if she can give him that. And then the rest of the episode, he's just preparing to be king of the wizard world. And it's just so crazy because it's like he's so good at not having to do with the plot, but also still involving himself somehow. But it's really funny. Like, he feels like the Kramer from Seinfeld of the wizarding world. Max ends up telling Jerry about everything that's been going on, like, oh, like, Alex is gonna run the revolution, and Jerry's just kind of like, oh, okay, Max, just because, like, he doesn't really know how to take Max seriously, and it's so crazy to think that, like, Jerry could be involved. Like, this seems like a big deal, Jerry, like, he should somehow find out what's happening. And of course we gotta talk about Justin. Justin is actually one of the best characters, and I haven't realized it until I had this episode play. Like, he's got the clumsiness and comedy of Josh Peck, you know, Josh from Drake and Josh, but also the sincerity and loyalty of a mature adult, ? Like, he gets a little neurotic and people make fun of him. He's definitely, you know, he's got a lot of nerdy tendencies, but it makes him really charming, and just seeing him kind of go for what he wants all the time is really refreshing. I don't know why I never, like, acknowledged this character to be so cool. Now I'm, like, seeing him more as, like, the main character, and that is more of, like, an interesting lore for me. A lot of his quotes in this episode are really funny. Like, look at all these funny one-liners he gets.
No, it makes sense. He won and a disgruntled family member's trying to wreck it for him. I'm seeing my future in the present. Stevie! 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 Open up the door. I have something to tell my father. You can forget about that, Stevie. You're never gonna convince Alex to join your stupid revolution. Right, Alex? Right, Alex? Alex! The wizard world has only one hope, and his name is Justin Vincenzo Pepe Russo. We need to get back to City Hall. Say hello to our little search protector. Yikes! Darn these smooth-soled shoes. Just as I planned, another Russo victory, yes.
The cool part of the B-plot is that since Harper and Justin are both trapped by Alex, because she's, I guess, evil now, they look into the future to see a conversation that Alex and Harper would have. Harper is pretty defensive of Alex, where Justin is like, no, like, she's evil, we have to accept this. Harper's like, no, I think she's actually good. I still believe in her, which is kind of sweet. And so Justin looks into the future to see a conversation that they'd be having.
You can't stand up against 5,000 wizards who want to be wizards forever.
You're not really gonna do this, are you, Alex?
Yes, Harper, I am. I hope that when this is over, we can still be friends.
There. Do you need any more proof?
Where Alex, like, apologizes for betraying her. And it's kind of like, whew, I don't know why. There's so much at stake right now. It's, like, definitely not, like, something a normal teenager would go through. Like, I'd be more concerned about a breakup. But if my best friend was turning to the dark side to start a wizard revolution, like, I don't know what I would do. I'd probably stop getting Slurpees every day at 7-Eleven. I don't know. But how cool is it that, like, you could have a little propheceutical moment where it's like, this is what is going to happen, and then it does end up happening anyway. That's a cool plot on top of the whole Stevie situation. So Alex, of course, betrays Stevie. I don't know why I'm saying of course, but, you know, I'm just trying to save you guys time. and turns against the revolution, allowing her brother to win. We get one final line from Max, which is actually hilarious, like calling his brother Giuseppe. I don't know, it's just ridiculous seeing him like change their names. Justin's like proud of Alex, and then they just casually stop the giant revolution from happening. This is something that's like really cool because in my new musical, The Consequences of Victoria Gray, in short, it's just about a girl who loses her emotions. And there's this whole concept of the bad person being the person going against the system. I feel like this episode taught me a lot about morals being carried out from not good or bad, but just decisions you make for other people. Like, do you make decisions that inevitably protect other people, like help other people, or, you know, represent you? I don't know why. It's just a lot of existential experiences I'm having with this teen sitcom. I don't really know what to do with it anymore, so I guess I'm unloading it on you guys. But yeah, season 3 of Wizards is crazy. I didn't expect it to get this deep. I didn't expect the lore to be this thick, and I didn't expect to question some of the childhood plot lines that I haven't revisited in forever. I finally figured out my relationship to Wizards of Waverly Place. So Wizards of Waverly Place, to me, is kind of how that 70s show was to my friends. How Twilight was to my other friends. And how Harry Potter was to my friends. Yeah, they're all my friends, whatever. It's just something you fall for. Like, you watch that 70s show and you're like, yeah, I just kind of fall for these guys. Like, this experience is pretty authentic, and I just kind of, like, get it. Like, whether you grew up under the circumstances they're talking about, something about the characters are relatable. Because, like, Harry Potter is something that a lot of people talk about, and they like talking about the houses they're in. They like being a part of that universe. And Twilight, like, it's this fantastical experience about literally vampires and werewolves, and that's when I realized that's which people fall for, because they like this whole love triangle between the main characters. Like, it's almost, that's the authentic connection, and Wizards of Waverly Place is a pretty authentic connection to me. Like, I grew up liking a lot of shows like Malcolm in the Middle, Everybody Loves Raymond, My Name is Earl, The Big Bang Theory. These were shows that caught me, that didn't make me feel like I was being talked down to, and kind of enriched my life, where it answered questions for me. I was like, what's life like outside of my house? And seeing these shows, like, kind of brought me to experiencing the world and, like, how I see people. And everybody is kind of like that third act of a sitcom, where it's like they make better choices, like, people want to be good people. And that's why I'm realizing that Wizards drew me in so hard, because it's just a family of wizards trying to come into their power, fulfill their destiny. And why do I like them better than, like, the Harry Potter franchise or all the other immersive franchises? Because it's funny. I feel like I can only fall for funny worlds. I don't believe anything is real if it's too dramatic and there's too many plot devices. I feel like it's like a sitcom. It's calculated, fun, and life could be calculated. You know, you go about it in a pretty calculated way. But we all have, like, this secret double life we're going for. That's why I'm realizing these Disney Channel shows still hold up to this day, because shows like this make you feel like you just kind of understand it. Like, I don't believe in wizards, I don't believe in anything like that, but groups of families and, like, friend-chosen families are what life's all about. And these sitcoms are, in a way, what we're striving to experience in life. Like, the fullest experiences are just teasing your friends, getting into hijinks, and making the most out of life's curveballs. Like, life is just a bunch of plot lines being thrown at you, and we're just trying to become better people by the end of our goals. So yeah, that's why I like watching these sitcoms. It feels like my life, very structured, but fun and entertaining, and it makes me want to get to the end of that third act and be a better person. And that's kind of what Wizards has made me feel like.